Well, hello friends. Welcome back to a Rising World tutorial, the long-awaited Circles edition. I know this is something that everybody wants if they haven't figured out how to do it by now. So I'm going to give you two methods for making circles, and I'm going to tell you that you can accomplish just practically anything in terms of making arcs and circles and spheres. Witness my attempt at a giant glass sphere. It kind of worked. I mean, it's a sphere. It's hollow. It's crazy looking. And I only did it because it was fun. And I just wanted to see if I could, and I did. So let's first talk about how we used to make circles. We used to do it this way in the Java version. First, you would lay down a plank, and then you would rotate it around and copy it. And then you would take another piece slightly wider than your plank or your beam, whichever it was, and you would use the snapping. You could put it on the end or on top like I did here. On the end is what we used to do in the Java version because I think that's the only thing that would work. Now it works either way. So then you take your wider bit that you want to keep, and you use snapping to adhere that. And then you would come up with a ring or something like that. Now, in the new version, you can definitely still do it this way, and there are times when you might want to, for whatever reason. For instance, maybe you want to make something that is spaced out like this. That would not be easy to do in the newer version, unless you first did the spokes like this and then did the snapping. The other way to do it is using the newer version. You can do a circle using the snapping to one side and going around a certain degree each block. And this is the way I did this and this. So each block is snapped to one edge, and then you use the rotation to pick a degree to rotate it to, and you just go on, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So here's a couple of examples. I was just playing around here, and I put plaques on here to figure out so I wouldn't forget how I did it. I started by making this circle. So it's 1 by 1 blocks. The circle winds up being 11.5 blocks in diameter. I did not plan that, but that's just how it worked out. Each block is rotated 10 degrees. So I put down a block, I rotated the next block 10 degrees, and it snapped to each other, and that made this round circle. Then I decided to go up and over, and I did the same thing. 1 by 1 blocks, rotated 10 degrees. It winds up making exactly the same size circle, only it's vertical. So I did that one and this one. And that winds up being basically a perfect dome. So if you did that on every block all the way around, this number of rotation degrees, it would wind up being a perfect dome. Then I decided, well, I wanted to see how would you do a Gothic arch. Now, a Gothic arch is a curve that comes to a point at the top. Let me get over here and show you. So this bigger one comes to a point. This one also would be the same thing, but it's a slightly different size. So with this bigger one, the blocks are 1 by 1, and I rotated it 5 degrees. So the lower the degree, the taller the peak of the arch, depending on the diameter or the distance from one leg of your arch to the other. And another way of looking at that is this one, where I put this totally unsatisfactory stained glass window in. This one is 1x1 blocks, and it's a 12 block distance between the legs of the arch. So if this was a circle, it would be a 12 block diameter circle, or 6 blocks radii from the center to the edge. So, and then it is rotated 6 degrees. So 12 blocks with a 6-degree rotation. So the smaller the radius and the smaller the degrees of rotation, then your arch is going to be less curved, if that makes sense. The higher the degree of rotation, then the arch is going to curve much more quickly. Okay, so those are the two basic methods for making circles and arches. Now the other way is to use the circle piece that we have. In this case, it's a half circle, and this is 2 half circles that are kind of put together. And what you'll notice about this is that it's a little bit janky. You can see the points, and the bigger it gets, the more obvious the points are, I think. If it's really small, you can't see the points very much. But if you look at this is a arched piece. It's the inside arc, and it is blown up, not equally, so it's actually wider than it is tall. And because it's a brick or a stone texture, which you would kind of expect to be not completely smooth, I think this is just fine. This building, I was playing around with the arced corner pieces and trying to figure out if there was a way to make a vault using the corner pieces, and you can do it, at least from the inside, and that's very easy. These is just 4 pieces of the corner inside arc. But the problem with that is that it's not the same. I mean, this is the corner outside arch, and what you get is a square like this. You don't get a rounded dome like you would with that, if that makes sense. And I am going to really quickly set a timer for 15 minutes. I think this is going to go over 15 minutes, but at least I want to be aware of how much time I'm using. Okay, so let's do this really, really quickly, if we can. First, I'll demonstrate this one really briefly. I start with a board, and I'm going to get it. Okay, so what you have to do is you can do it on the ground, or you could do it, you kind of have to have something to point the board at. So if you're going to do it vertically, then you might want to build a block wall and put your boards on that, and then remove the block wall and make a blueprint of your arch. I think that's the easiest way. You can do it without blueprinting, but then you have to do this method with every arch that you want to build. So the thing you have to do is go into your C key, make sure that collisions are off, choose the rotation that you want. I'm going to leave this on 10 for right now. And because this board is fairly narrow, it's going to be just fine. Now, what you have to do is engage control, So manual positioning is engaged. And then you're going to place it. You have to hold it because manual positioning is engaged. You have to hold down control and push the left or the right arrow and place it again and place it. And I'm holding down the right control button while I'm doing this. And so on. I'm not going to go all the way around. Then you would take your piece that you want to make your round ring out of. And also this method is really good if you just for some reason need a starburst or whatever. And because I have snapping on, I'm just going to snap this wider piece to the board. And I'll put it on the end this time so you can see the difference. And I'm snapping to the center so that my pieces overlap. When I say I'm snapping to the center, I mean I'm snapping to the center of the board, not one side or the other. But you can see where the green dot is, that's where it's snapping. So there you go. There's your arc. And then you would take your pick and remove these boards. Let's just do that real quick. Or your hammer. So then you're left with just your arc. Okay, so that's the old-fashioned method, and it's actually quite fast. The new method is you would take your board, and let's just make this, I'm going to hit Shift Backspace. Oh, and I want to show you something really quick that I should have shown in my first video, and I just completely forgot about it because I don't use it because it's not intuitive to me. You have to be holding a construction element, and then you hit F1 and you get this page, and this page shows you all the basic key commands for what what every key does basically. I mean, it's not going to act exactly the way you expect every time, but at least these instructions are here. And for the long time, I didn't know how to get to this because I didn't know you have to be holding a construction element to even see that. So it's F1 and you get this. Okay, so using just a 1x1 block, we're going to go ahead and make that circle. So I'm going to find a spot right here. Okay, so now I don't have to use the control snapping. Well, I do have to use snapping. So let's place the block, and snapping is on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm snapping to that. In fact, I'm going to turn the grid off. I'm going to snap to that. Well, which way do I want to do this? There we go. I'm going to snap to the outside edge, and I'm going to just hit my right arrow, or the left arrow rather, and I'm going to place that block. Then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to snap to this edge and hit that arrow again. You have to be standing in the right spot. Now you know, this is the way it's done, but now that I'm doing it, I'm realizing that maybe if I stand in the center, it would be easier. Here we go. The old way is perhaps faster. But this does have the advantage that you can now go on the top and adhere it to the edge here. And this time I'm going to hit the up button, up arrow. And as long as I adhere to each block and hit that up arrow one time, you see I'm going to be able to build myself a little dome. So that's pretty fast. Not as hard to get the right spot. It's easy to make a mistake, however. So if you didn't get this dot and you hit your arrow, let's say you got that dot instead and you hit your arrow, see what happens is it makes a crack. It doesn't adhere. And then it's even worse if you hit that arrow or that button. So make sure you hit the button on the outside if that's indeed what you want to have happen. The outside edge, if you want the outside edge to be smooth, then you have to always adhere to the outside edge. So now if I were to just place this without rotating it, it would go up on an angle, but it wouldn't make the dome. So you have to remember you have to do it every time with every block. Let's go on the inside. It'd be a little easier to grab it, I think. Okay, so you can kind of see what's happening there. You're getting a dome shape like that. So like maybe you wanted to do it with snow blocks and you make an igloo or a dome for the top of a silo or the top of a church or whatever. So that's how it's done. Simple as that. Pretty cool, huh? Now, again, you can use the circle piece or the half circle piece that is already in the game. Let's pull one of those out. And, you know, you can stretch it out in an oval or make it a big circle. Now in survival, you can only go to 5. So there's a 5 circle, 5 units. So if we put that down, to me, it's okay. It's just not as smooth as one you build yourself. I mean, it's pretty jagged. And the bigger you get, the more jagged it is. You can see the lines in this, but if you use even smaller pieces and a tighter, I spaced this out so you could see it. But if these were touching, say, then your pieces would overlap more and it would be a little bit smoother. So that's the difference. All right, well, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm sure you're curious about what in the heck is going on. Well, when I discovered the other day that you can shrink blueprints, I kind of got a little bit obsessed. And I, for some reason, wanted to build a chain, but I wanted it to be small. However, working on tiny pieces, and you can only get it so small and still be able to work on it, I had an idea that I should build a giant chain, which I've done here, and then shrink it down, make a blueprint of it and shrink it down and put it together. So this is like 3 of those, and voila, we have a chain. Yeah. I tried it also with the oval, the square round piece, that one over there. And it's okay. This is more of a real metal chain. This would be more like, I don't know, something you'd use to hang a lamp or something. It's okay, but it's not as good. So once I got the chain made, and I was thinking to myself, what can I make with a chain? Well, a swing, right? So here's my swing, and I made a swing set. So there's my swing set with a slide. I think this took me about 3 hours. And it just shows you what you can do if you've got enough time and you don't mind, kind of just experimenting. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with my swing set. I had no need for a swing set, but I am going to put this blueprint on the forum if you think you might need a swing set for your build. And this actually does have a seat in it, and it does work. So you can sit on the swing. You can't swing, unfortunately. But yeah, so a swing set for the children we do not have. All right, my timer is going off. So that's all the time that we have for right now. And I'm going to tease this one more time because I'm obsessed now that you can build big stuff and shrink it down. And I need a Jeep for my safari world. So I'm going to be building a Jeep over here, and I will bring it into the safari world. And I think I am going to record building the Jeep. It will just be me trying to figure out how to build a Jeep. Because I don't know. It'll just be me experimenting. Oh, and this is our brick wall again. So the next video after this will be the peaked roof. How to do different methods on that. And then I think we will be just about done with our How to Build series. There may be some other things that you might want to know, and if there is, please leave me questions or suggestions in the comments, and I will try to cover, everything. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out. But yeah, so arc arcs and circles and spheres are really not very hard anymore. And so enjoy. Go build a circle. See you next time. Bye-bye.